And hello, good people of the internet. This is Tommy Kelly, and this is, of course, the Tommy Kelly podcast. Yet again, we are trying something new. If you're new to the podcast, you may not know that my wife is very heavily pregnant at the moment, and at any minute, there could be a new arrival. Not really any minute, but, well, technically any minute. We're 36 plus 4 days, 5 days, something like that at the minute, so it literally could be any moment. So if the podcast suddenly goes away for 2 weeks or something, don't worry about it. I'm still about it. My plan is not to go away though, and try and keep all the things going over at adventuresandwaywood.com, including podcast, videos, and all these things. So what I have to be doing is coming up with a system where I can do kind of recordings of the podcasts anywhere, so it kind of there's a word that my brain won't allow me to do it, where you move around with it. Mobile recording. So last week I tried it with the lapel mic, and the sound was okay, and I think the sound would be good because I used that mic before in videos and it was pretty good. I think my choice of room was pretty bad, in that it was quite echoey and there was not an awful lot of sound absorption going on. So the sound was good. So that's worthwhile looking into. But this week I'm in a different room. You know that room in your house where you throw everything in and all the stuff that just doesn't seem to want to go anywhere else? Well, this is the room I am in. It is the spare room, the guest room. And it was the photography room at one stage. It was where if you've seen any of the vlogs from last year where I had the backdrop and I was doing all the green screen stuff, it's that room. But it's not too much of a mess. I mean, it probably would pass the Jordan Peterson clean your room test. Kinda. Pass. Have you seen the photo of his room? And it's not particularly clean, but there's a lot of stuff in it. So in theory, that should absorb all the echoes. It may not though. I'm also have a different microphone on. This is the Nikon ME1, which is basically the hot shoe mic or the cold shoe microphone that you would use with a DSLR for shooting video and stuff. One of them. The more popular one would be the Rode one, but it's like 300 or 400 quid or something. And this one was about 80 quid. So I did a few tests with it and it seems okay, but I thought I'd do the entire podcast like this just to see. So I'm sitting on a nice kind of our old couch, which is more comfortable than my office chair, I would say. And yeah, so let's just get into it. This week, what I want to talk about is kind of further or coming back to a topic I've talked about in the blog before. And I'm sure I talked about it in the podcast, but it's only kind of tangent. No, not tangentially, but it's related to it. It's not the same topic. And the topic was the blog post is something along the lines of the title was "Stealing Secrets from the Enemy" or "Gaining Knowledge from the Enemy" or something. And it was all about that there's so many different sources for things, and that should you just shun certain sources because you don't agree with their political views, or there's some horrid way one aspect of their life is pretty horrid. And it's that thing of like, should you dislike every film you like Kevin Spacey in because it turned out Kevin Spacey wasn't is a bad person or whatever we want to label him, bad, that doesn't do it, whatever he is. Should throw out your DVDs of Seven, his DVDs. Should you delete the download of Seven now because he's a deplorable person or whatever? And kind of, I don't know the answer to that, but it's still it's the topic I want to talk about. It's a bit like that, because there's more than one person involved in Seven, obviously. Like, so are you punishing Dave Fincher for the sins of Kevin Spacey? But I'll get to where all this came from. About a week ago, it was during the Mars retrograde, so those arguments abound. We've kind of had this, couple of close friends of mine have this Slack room, and we've had it for years and years and years now. There's about 10 of us, probably maybe more, 6 or 7 of us that are every day on it or whatever, but there's 10. There's actually about 40 people in the room, but there's no one ever comes in other than these 10. But it's a closed shop, and it was like a lot of us that we met on Twitter or knew from real life or whatever just got together to kind of just talk about the way we used to talk about things on Twitter without getting the backlash and stuff like that. So it's been quite good, and it's it's very relaxed or whatever. But Mars being retrograde as it was and all those kind of things, it did come to a kind of as close as we've come to an argument, and it wasn't really an argument. It was a debate. And the debate was about, I had bought a game, a PC game, and I kind of knew, having had conversations before with a friend of mine, that the lead developer on it, had some sort of Nazi leanings or had some sort of connection to the Nazi party or had Nazi ideals or something. I was kind of vaguely aware of that. And I was looking for a game and I bought it, knowing that in the background. And I said it in the Slack chat room. And then this whole debate started. And it was the whole idea of, I won't name any names or whatever, because it's, the whole point of that is to keep it covert. But my friend was saying that you shouldn't buy games that are, the lead developer is a Nazi and stuff like that, because it's encouraging Nazi, it's bad. Almost close saying it's morally wrong, but morally wrong isn't what he was saying, even though it touches on it. And quite indignant about it and that. And I've seen this kind of stuff on Facebook and Twitter and that kind of thing. My kind of reaction to it is that seems like you're doing something, but you're not really. Like saying, oh, let's boycott a game, or let's, have this thing where we do something. But it's not like, it's almost just seemed to me at the time, it's more right, that it's just virtue signaling. And that, look how great I am. I'm boycotting this game made by a Nazi. I'm a great person. And it seemed to be more about the people saying it than it was about, actually anti-Nazis. Like, I'm a good person. Look at me. I'm great for not doing it. And I was going like, but it doesn't, you not buying a game or you not doing it isn't making any difference to the world at all. That it's not, you're not actually achieving anything other than making yourself look good. That was my kind of attitude, that it's slacktivism at its highest. That I've posted a meme about anti-fascism or anti-Nazis on Facebook. I'm a good person. What have you done with your life? What are you doing to fight the good fight or whatever? Kind of, well, like posting a meme on Facebook doesn't do anything. Like, you could get into the whole conversation about mimetic magic and Keck and all these things, but let's not do that. But say for the whole time, posting a meme on Facebook or doing that for it to a large extent, and I still would hold to this, a lot of people are doing it for virtue signaling purposes or slacktivism, or thinking they're actually doing something without actually having to do something about the problem. Then my other friend was kind of saying that, well, that's the equivalent of, say, because I was saying that not buying a game, me buying a game or me not buying a game isn't doing anything, isn't changing the world, isn't for the good or the bad or anything, because it's inconsequential what I do. And he was saying, but that's kind of the same as saying voting, doesn't count. And there's part of me that doesn't think voting counts. And there's a part of me, like, I do vote and I always vote. But it's like that point, the Russell Brand thing, which don't vote, or the Billy, although I think Russell Brand has like changed his tune on that, or Billy Connolly, don't vote, it only encourages them. And I think there is a lot to be said. And there's also the thing, it's like, oh, you have your voice, you have to vote, but it's still the politicians who come up with the idea of what you can vote about. We had the abortion referendum in Ireland here not that long ago, and that was only because they let us have it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like as if, of course, the yes vote went through and all those things, and people got to say that they had a voice or a change in society, and to a certain extent you do, but only on topics you're allowed, and it's like the Brexit thing in the UK, where so many people want a second vote or whatever because they feel they were lied to, and all these things. I don't know, it seems to me that at some points, voting does seem to make a difference, and other points it seems absolutely no difference. I always vote for politicians, local people, stuff like that. I would never vote for parties or never vote for, think of the bigger election thing. So maybe that's wrong, maybe that's, but I know the people I vote for, and not that I know them, personally, but I've seen them. They're, they're from the locale or whatever. So to say that the not buying a game or buying a game is the equivalent of saying voting doesn't matter and stuff. And there's part of me going, well, I don't think voting does matter. But there's a part of me that also knows that, an awful lot has been achieved by political pressure and voting and all those kind of things. And I also didn't think at the time that not buying a computer game and voting is a false equivalent. I don't think it's quite the same. I don't think it is the level of power. So the debate got a bit kind of heavy or whatever, and we just kind of, in the end, had to just agree to disagree and walk away, because it was just, obviously it really was annoying. Not annoying. He was really passionate about it from one of my friends. Another friend was fairly close and similar thought to it. And then there was another guy who was just kind of could see all things around it. But it was stuck in my mind for a couple of days or a week after it or whatever long goes. Time is all blending into one at the minute. I don't really know days and months and weeks. And I just say wasn't sitting right with me in the whole thing, and it wasn't sitting right with me because for a number of reasons. One, because I was very callous about the whole thing, thinking it didn't matter, and that didn't sit well with me with the rest of kind of how I would view myself or what I would think of myself as a person. But I was reminded of what Duncan, I'll say that Duncan Trussell said on a recent Joe Rogan podcast. He also said on the Theo Von podcast as well. And it's talking about Ram Dass. Pretty sure he was talking about Ram Dass because it's usually who he's talking about, Ram Dass. And Ram Dass is this quote, which I'm going to butcher, but it's something along the lines of, tend to the part of the garden that you can reach. And this was sitting in the back of my mind, and I get that. Like, it's that whole thing. And sorry for everyone for talking about Jordan Peterson again, but it's relevant in this point, where the whole approach is do the thing that you can do. Like what can you can't maybe necessarily do anything about Trump, but you can certainly clean your room. So it's tend to the part of the garden that you can reach. Do the thing that's within your power. Don't try to fix the economic crisis in, I don't know, in East Africa. I'm not even sure. I'm sure there is some sort of economic crisis in East Africa. There's always an economic crisis somewhere. If your family relationships are terrible, or your own economics, or your own economy of self, or your own finances are terrible, sort out your own things before you worry about other people's. Now, I know there's a bit of selfishness and all that kind of thing, but solve your own problems before you help other people. So it's not like a blanket statement. Do your best for everything, but it's just saying, like, don't be worrying about the things you can't control, but worry about the things you can control and work on them. So tend to the part of the garden that you can reach. And that was sitting on me. It was kind of in the back of my mind with regard to the game thing as well. But then Kellyanne Maddox put up a video as well, and I'll link to it in the show notes. And again, it's talking about the whole thing of the political sphere and about how the world is and about how divisive it is and how people are on so, different thoughts and ideas about the whole thing. And again, her point was, or one of her points, it's a long video, loads of great points, is about do the thing that you can do. Don't allow, do the thing you can do. And coming me extrapolating from all that is, don't allow don't allow the bad things in your life that you have control of. And so that kind of jarred at me, and I was kind of going, well, that's for me then to buy a game whose lead designer was a Nazi or had some sort of Nazi leanings, whatever, is normalizing the allowing of people who are Nazis to make games and to support them and all of those kind of things. And it's going, well, me buying a game doesn't really matter. It's not going to, it's a hugely popular game. It's not going to be, it's not going to go out of business, all that kind of, because I do or do not buy the game. But me not buying the game would have been tending to the garden, the part of the garden that I could reach. And that, it struck me a bit in that I wasn't following my own kind of thoughts and things or whatever. Like, do the thing that you can do and don't worry about the bigger picture. See, the thing with politics and me and news and all of those things is that over the last number of years, I've stopped listening to the news. I've stopped listening or reading newspapers. I've stopped paying attention. I've all my internet fairly filtered for different things. I've said before, there's still an awful lot of it still comes through. There's not much you can do about that. And there was a debate recently on Facebook or in some occult circles, I don't know. Benabel my name's Benabel put it up, saying that someone had said that you should avoid all of these things and not pay any attention to them and all of that things. And she was saying that that's not a good idea. And Kellyanne Maddox was also saying that it's not a good idea either to ignore all of these things. And in a sense, I was ignoring all these things. But the other side of it is don't delve deep into it and, because the reason why I don't listen to it or pay attention to it is because it depresses me and it makes me sad and it makes me anxious and nervous and frightened and scared and not enjoy my life or not want to participate in it because it's all gone to shit or it's all, and it freezes me or nerves me or whatever it does. And so not listening to it, all of that. And also because I don't think I have any say in it. I don't have any control in it. Like on Facebook, and there's a couple of people that, if you're into the occult or magic, you would come across, and you have Jason Louv, who's very political and very has his own, his very forceful in a sense on his Facebook, talking about his different political ideas and stuff like that. And I can understand that. And it's not something I do because, number one, I'm not American. What right have I to talk about Trump in in those type of things? I can talk from an outside point of view. But also, Trump doesn't impact my day in the same way that it would impact Jason Louv's day, because it's the country he's in as well. Jason Miller also talks an awful lot about politics as well. And but both of them would be in a very kind of mainstream kind of way. And by that, I mean, if you go to someone like Gordon White, who talks an awful lot about politics, almost to the point of like the real doom porn kind of stuff in Gordon's stuff, that I had to kind of pull away from it for a while before to say he was literally my only news source at one time. And that was probably definitely not good, because he's very, he comes from the point of view of like almost conspiracy, but that's not right, actually. Like, from that the archons are in control, or the secret rulers of the world, and there's definitely conspiracies going on and all of these things. And he predicted Trump getting it quite correctly, and a number of other things. So like, he definitely knows what he's on about. But it would definitely be outside a more kind of conspiratorial, again, not the right word, view of politics than, say, Jason Louv and Jason Miller. And I'm sure there's other people who talk about politics in the occult things. These are just the people who came to mind. So it's not something I'm that involved in or that know, because it's the whole thing of I don't really want to know it. And I don't think I have any control over it. Particularly that most of the things that go on are not in the same country as me. And I don't like, people say, oh, you should be more active. But what can I do? What could I actually do about Trump right now? People say, oh, you should ring or write to your congressman. Well, I don't have a congressman because I don't live in America. And the politicians around here can't even get the roads fixed in my area, never mind have any impact on who the president of America is. So the only thing, in a sense, that the politics that I can have any impact in is some way local. And by paying attention to the bigger politics, all I can do is fret about it and feel anxious about it and have no say in it. But Gordon White also says that not having an opinion about it is also a choice. And it's also not a choice, but it's also taking a side. And I'm beginning to see that more and more from the whole thing with the game and the Nazi and Kellyanne Maddox's video and the Duncan TRUSSELL thing, that it is taking a side. And ultimately what it came down to, and the whole point of it really was in the end, that I was wrong to have bought the game. And wrong because I knew there was some sort of Nazi thing involved in it, or that someone, I think it's the lead designer, had some sort of ties to Nazi, and I didn't care. Thinking that, sure, what does it matter what I do? And you know that picture you see on Facebook, the meme of I didn't vote because it didn't, it wouldn't make a difference, is the majority of the people, and then you have like 1/3 of the people or 20% of the people on the other side who voted, who got what they wanted. And I think my friend's point was that if you buy games created by Nazis, then you're normalizing Nazis, and then what's next? The Nazis in society are okay. It's like allowing Nazis on social media or interacting with them is allowing them, and it makes it easier for them to have their say. It's easier for them to have a voice and all of those things. So I came back and I on the Slack thing, and I said, yeah, I'm wrong about that. I shouldn't have bought the game. And not buying the game is the thing, tending to the garden that is closest, that you can reach, that you can do. I could have not done that. That is something that, when I say I had no power, I have no say in any of these things, I could have not bought that game. Or I could not, say there's someone on YouTube, and again, I'm not going to mention any more names anymore because I'm just not having the debate with people about it. That there's some deplorable aspect to certain people, but yet, I think this other stuff that they do is really good, and so I'm only supporting them for this stuff. And that kind of stuff, I think, the more and more I think about it, it's probably not a good thing. That you should just, but it's like, I don't know either as well while I'm saying this. Like, it would be easier if people just came out and were very honest, but I'm an absolute, total Nazi. And then you go, right, I'm discounting you. But it's like, it's more complicated than that, in that some people who are, say, very right leaning, far right leaning or whatever, a good example, I'll tell you a good example. Here's a good example. Mike Cernovich. I came across him when he wrote a book called The Gorilla Mindset. It's a great book. It's a fabulous book. It's taken all the kind of stuff from Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, and Norman Vincent Peale, and all these things, put it together in a very practical, broke down, step-by-step way of how to make your life better, mostly aimed at males. And great. And I would recommend that book to anyone other than Mike Cernovich is a madman. He was the guy who called for Guardians of the Galaxy director to be, as far as I know, because I only half pay attention to all these things. He was he started on Twitter to try and get your man fired for jokes he'd said on Twitter 10 years ago, whatever it was. And he has he's a Trump supporter. He's all these kind of mad conspiracy theories. Was on InfoWars. So it's just all of this other stuff that goes with it. And I'm kind of, can you still like the stuff you like and, recommend a book by him saying, oh, well, here's Mike Cernovich's Gorilla Mindset. It's a great book. Really, really good book. Don't look past that, don't look at his YouTube or don't look at anything like, but at the same time, his podcast is brilliant. The first 60 episodes of the podcast is all about self-development and personal development and all this, and great stuff. And then it goes insane. His second book, Make America, MAGA, whatever it is, the Trump one, Make America Great Again. I've never read it. I'm sure it's terrible. But should, in trying to decide or trying to come to this thing, should I not have any interest in Mike Cernovich anymore and completely discount him because of his political views or whatever? Or should you listen to all these people? I don't know the answer. I know that tending to the garden, which is, you can reach, or which is closest to you, or whatever the Ramdas thing is going to be a very case by case basis rather than, any sort of blanket statement where you can just go into, say, oh, well, that's it. I'm going to say no to all of these things. I can hear Mr. Riggs outside the door having a fish, but he can't come in. So yeah, to come back to that, stealing secrets from, I was just looking at my notes in case you were wondering what the pause was. Come back, stealing secrets from the enemy. And I was talking about the guy, the rune guy, Paul, and I couldn't remember his name the last time I talked about him. But he's allegedly part of, a kind of a white power movement. Allegedly, he is more or less, from what I can gather, but allegedly. But he's really good in runes. And so should we discount this thing? I think it's come to the stage that it's getting so bad and so desperate, and the world isn't the way it is. As Gordon said, at this point in the timeline, I think it is going to come to the point where we should maybe, you should make your own opinion about it, that I should possibly be more discerning about the company I keep, about the things I buy, who I support, who I'm actively helping, even if I feel it's indirectly. In that, if you're getting some benefit out of one aspect of a person's work, but another act is deplorable, then maybe we should become a bit more active in, I don't know, ignoring the whole person or whatever. I don't know. I know when it came to the game and when I thought about it, I go, yeah, I can understand that, because it was for, it was for leisure. It was just for fun, but it's different than when, so it's easy to discount and go, oh, no, I shouldn't support that, whatever. Or maybe, I don't know, if it was a sports team or something that you had, and it got sponsored by, I don't know, the Nazis' First National Bank or something. I don't know, you could go, right, that's easy. It's hard. I don't know. The long and short of it, and what I suppose, where the conclusion I'm coming to out of all of these things is that it probably will be a case-by-case basis, but I'm going to have to start being more choosy and picky on who I support and whose voice I spread, and that making the excuse, as I say about Jordan Peterson, I only like certain parts of Jordan Peterson and all his political stuff. I don't pay attention to. But at the same time, if you're posting videos and talking about people, you're advertising the whole package. And that's something I have to become more aware of. It's like, again, this thing, and I don't know if this is true or if this is not true, but it come up so often that I'll mention it. Pete Carroll, who wrote Leaving Null and Psychonaut, and basically, along with him and a couple of other people, created Chaos Magic as we know it in the late 70s, had some really weird political views about, immigration into the UK and stuff. I think people have told me, a number of people have told me, I never looked into myself, but enough people said it that there's obviously some suspicion somewhere of it. So again, do we discount everything Pete Carroll says about everything else? I don't know. It's just, I don't know the answer. And so I'll throw it out to all you good people of the internet. What's your thoughts on all of this? Where is the point where is the bit of the garden where you can, that you can tend to, and where is, to take the analogy any further, like pulling out the weeds, should you pull out some flowers too, because, these particular flowers also have a negative side to them or whatever? Or should you just let, see the bits you want, or, or even go back, do you think buying a game who was designed by a Nazi, or had the lead designer, had some connection to a Nazi, or forget about Nazi, had some deplorable, say it was a child molester or whatever it is, do you think it should be boycotted, even if 500 or 5,000 other people worked on that game? It's like, do you think every film with Kevin Spacey should be boycotted, even knowing that there's hundreds and hundreds of other people involved, and that he already got paid for it, and so the people who are actually losing aren't, like if you don't go to see the new Kevin Spacey film, it's the guy who paid for the new Kevin Spacey film who loses the money, not Kevin Spacey. But then you can say, well, it shouldn't have hired him in the first place. So, I mean, there's all of these things. So what's your thoughts on all of these things? Can you see places in your life where you can make better choices and, fix the world around you closer to you, and do the things that you can do to get a bit more empowerment and feel that you have a bit more say? Is not saying I'm not buying a game just virtue signaling or slacktivism, or does it have some sort of effect on the greater scheme or the greater world? Is tending to the part of the garden that's closest to you an effective thing to do, or is it just a terrible analogy that sounds good coming out of Duncan Trussell's mouth via Ramdas? So yeah. That was another episode of Tommy Kelly Podcast. And just a quick note here. I've been trying to do, as I spoke last week on the podcast, I'm trying to do a bit more with the Patreon side of things. And there's a few things that's going on over there that may be of interest to you. I've now started doing daily videos, short wee lens videos, which are kind of, I suppose, like Snapchat. I assume, I've never used Snapchat, but I assume that's what they're getting of. Or maybe it's like Instagram stories, but they're about 30 seconds or a minute, and they only stay up for 24 hours, and they're just very quick and kind of thing. So that's one thing that you only get as a patron. I'm also only going to be doing readings. I was doing 47 3-card readings for people, but I'm only going to be doing them there for patrons from now on, for two reasons. One, I want to reward the patrons for supporting me, and two, time. I just don't have the time, so that's now going to be an exclusive thing for patrons. I'm also going to be whether you want it or not, I'm going to be ripping my old CDs that I recorded in various things from the bands I was in, my solo albums and stuff like that, and that's going to be on Patreon. Two reasons for that. One, again, it's something cool to put up on Patreon, but two, I also want some digital kind of archive of it, because I mean, I'm the stories of people's CDs breaking and not playing anymore, so I'd like to have some sort of archive online place for it, and why not put it somewhere where it's, only a certain amount of people can hear it. I think the world really wants to hear it. But anyway, that will be going up too as well. And different things. I've slightly changed some of the reward as well. I'm doing videos that will only be for patrons. that will never see the light of day outside of Patreon. We're doing a healing thing every week, which is kind of like a group ritual, using a symbol that would connect everyone, and we did it for the first time last week, and it worked really, really well. So we're going to be building on that, and that will evolve into something over the time. I'm very excited about that. So there's definitely a new increased vigor from myself over on Patreon, and if you'd like to support me on that, from as little as $1 to, you know, whatever you want to pay. And each, you know, the more money you pay, the more reward you get, and all of that kind of stuff. You know the deal. Then go to TommyKelly.com, and that's TOMMIE Kelly, KELLY.com, and that'll bring you straight to the Patreon page. Or just search for me on Patreon, Tommy Kelly. It wasn't showing up in search results for a while because it was under the adult section, but I took that off so I can be found. Now, other than that, all the free stuff I offer you is on adventuresandwoowoo.com. And if you go over there, you will find everything you could possibly want to know about the 40 Servants, which is a magic and divination system I came up with that's become quite popular, and you might enjoy it. And you can use that totally for free for both the magic and divination by going to Adventures in Woo-Woo, and you can either go to the archive page or just search the 40 Servant free, and that'll bring you to the page with all the resources for just doing it for free. There's also the 47's page there itself has all of the listings of the different cards, the servants, what they mean, and I'm slowly updating them as we go along to the new meanings. Not the new, that didn't change, just it's written a bit better from the Grimoire. And the Grimoire of the 47 is the book that tells you how to use the 47s. And podcast episodes are all there. The YouTube stuff is all there. The 47's video course you can access through Adventure Woo or through the YouTube page. It's just a free course for me telling you how to use the 47s and what each of the cards mean. And there's Magic Grimoire, Magic Primer, Tommy, that will, if you're completely new to Magic, particularly Chaos Magic, it will talk you through all of what you need to know to, you know, get on board. And it's basically brief introduction to different things such as servitors, banishing, Chaos Magic, all the thing, and then a load of links and videos and books and stuff like that to point you all in the right direction. So plenty of resources there. And the 4 Devils are there. You can download them, print them, all that kind of stuff. And I'm on all the social medias. I'm on Twitter at Tommy Kelly. I'm on Facebook at Tommy Kelly Artist. Instagram at Tommy Kelly. Where else am I? MySpace, probably. Bebo. I'm a Bebo. And yeah, anyway, that's enough of all that thing. So good people of the internet, may you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And may everything work out for you that you want it to work out for you. Just a general blessing this week that things are good for you, and that the people around you are nice to you, and all your relationships are happy. And hopefully maybe that something special happens to you this week. So have a good one and be well.